Hey, welcome back to The Irrational, the podcast where we discuss various pieces of media and the fears that they've instilled in us. You guys, we've made it to the 15th episode. That's pretty exciting. Something I was wondering if you could do me a favor, if you are a fan of this show, if you could hop on iTunes and rate and or review the podcast, that would be great. If you don't already subscribe on iTunes, that would be awesome as well. But of course, do what you want to do. Keep yourself happy. And another thing I was thinking about doing is if you want to leave a 5-star rating and review it with your own personal irrational fear, I'm thinking about adding a segment to the end of the podcast where I read kind of like a listener mail thing. Just, just a couple sentences explaining your fear, and I'll just muse on that at the end if anyone's interested in that. Otherwise, you can just skip to the end of the podcast. As you can probably hear, I finally got the insurance company on the phone. Got these construction workers out here to rebuild the cabin. Interesting thing, while they were working, they moved this pile of rubble, and we discovered a cellar door. Apparently, in the construction of the cabin, they went over it with the hardwood floors, so there was no way to get to it. But whatever that beast was that ripped up the cabin a couple weeks back, it seemed to have uncovered it. So I was thinking we'd head on down there and see what's going on with that downstairs neighbor, see if we can get him to be quiet, I just figured this would be interesting for the podcast. Who knows? Let's hope. So let's head on down. Oh, God. Oh, it's cold down here. Oh, yeah, there he goes. All right, well, let's see.
1 minute. Yes, hello?
Hey, I'm your upstairs... Wait, Mr. Stephanopoulos? What are you doing down here?
Well, what do you mean, what am I doing down here? I'm just, I don't really know what I'm doing down here.
Dude, I've been trying to get in contact with you for weeks now. What the hell?
Well, what do you mean? Why didn't you just call?
I have been calling. I've called several times. Your wife keeps saying that you died several years ago.
I'm dead? Oh, well, that explains a lot.
What? No, you're not dead. You're standing here talking to me right now.
Oh, everything makes sense now. Oh, gosh, thank you. This is wonderful news. Oh, I finally feel at rest. What a great young man you are.
What do you mean you feel at rest? I'm talking to you right. You cannot be dead. What don't you understand about this?
Oh, thank you so much. You're such a wonderful tenant. I have to go now, but if you ever need a reference, let me know.
What the fuck? Okay, alright, so my landlord was just standing right in front of me, and, the floor opened up, and he just fell into this fiery pit, and then it closed right back up. Well, good thing I'm moving to New York, I guess, because I don't have a landlord anymore. I guess I did need to change of scenery, so... All right, so now that that's finally settled, this week's guest is the very funny Brodie Reed. Brodie is a comic visiting from L.A. for the Chicago Comedy Exposition Festival. Hey, look at that. Our first out-of-town guest on the podcast. Brodie's a great dude. We have a really interesting discussion. We actually do things a bit different this week. We kind of more talk about how the real world and everything going on in it changes our perception of media and how we can enjoy it. Really fun conversation. Gets pretty bleak at some points, but, you're going to enjoy it. And like usual, we plug everything at the end of the podcast. So without further ado, Brodie Reed.
Oh, I'm enjoying Chicago so much.
Yeah.
I am soaking up the aesthetic of it, and it's very interesting. It feels like a city like LA, but it just feels cleaner, and it just feels like people are happier or something. It's
Okay.
I don't
Keep
know.
in mind, you have Fest goggles on.
I have Fest goggles on, absolutely. Even if I went to Los Angeles for a festival, I'd just be like, "This is still a dirty ass place."
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do not have rose-colored goggles about Los Angeles. even though I was born and raised there. But, I mean, because I've been in New York, and it feels cramped and hostile, where here it just feels like I'm happy to be outside, even though it's 90 degrees and it's muggy.
Yeah.
It's refreshing
It is
for some
brutal.
reason. I don't understand why.
That's cool to hear. It's also
Yeah.
kind of frightening to hear because I'm about to move away from Chicago. But that's awesome.
I'm sure you'll be fine. You're going to New York, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never pictured LA as a dirty city.
It's not. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's just...
For some reason, I always pictured it actually squeaky clean.
Really?
Like obviously I know that it's like nice parts and less nice parts and stuff. But like in my head it's just clean.
It's cool. LA is let's see, you can get really good Mexican food there. The public transportation is abysmal. It's like really bad. Other than that, it's cool. Bars close at 2. So you gotta know some people for a house party or something.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Now that's a thing, because I've never been to LA.
Mm-hmm.
I visited New York. Never been to LA. And then when I was making like the decision of like where I wanted to go, I was at first leaning towards LA just because it looked super fun because I love a house party. But then I was like, you can't base your choices on college, like
yes, you can.
On parties. On college. I
only go to house parties.
Comedy on parties, like just like, oh, the city looks fun, like the way you would with a college. Like this college looks fun. I want to go there.
I mean, honestly, I would have never even gotten into comedy if I weren't fun at parties. You know, I think it's a 1-to-1 ratio of just like I could do this for a living.
Yeah. I guess there is like that social aspect to it. I don't know. I was really getting like, it's like kind of just like FOMO, just like looking at these pictures. I was like, LA looks so fun.
You'll be okay. There's still plenty of things to do in New York. You'll make friends. I mean, wherever you're tied down, like emotional, like relationships are, that's like, you're going to feel FOMO literally no matter what. And then the pain of it goes away. I mean, like I'm away from LA for one weekend, and this weekend, like, there's a huge fire. There's like a red sun or something like that.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
looks
I saw
like
pictures
the
of the sun. It's insane.
And I'm like, I feel a little left out because I'm like, I want to commiserate with all my friends, but at the same time, it's just like, I'll see them later.
Yeah.
Whatever.
They'll be fine.
Yeah, as long as none of them quit comedy, you'll see everyone you know again.
Yeah. That's always such a bummer when someone you like is like, I'm done. Like, I don't want to do comedy anymore. It's like, you're probably making the right call. If you don't love it, you shouldn't do it. But I like seeing you every week. Yeah. It's such a bummer to say goodbye to people.
It is a bummer. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And now I'm having to say goodbye to everyone all at once.
You're not saying goodbye. It's just
I'm not
later.
at all, because I am the apartment we're moving into. Everyone that I tell about it, they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm crashing there next month." And I'm
cool.
like, "Oh, cool. I didn't realize that my new apartment was like a hostel for comedians."
Dope.
So pretty excited about that.
Dope. Very dope. I'm trying to get this job where if I get it, then I would be in New York for a couple months.
Oh, really?
And I've been looking for an excuse to do that for a long time, to
That's
just go there for a little bit, because I have a little bit of family there. And I don't think I've ever really done shows in New York since I started doing comedy, and that'd be really exciting. That
is really exciting because, like, you can plan a trip and stuff, but no matter what, in the back of your head, you're just like, this trip is costing me money.
Totally.
I have to make the worst or the most of it. Like, it cannot be bad. And then, like, it puts a lot of pressure on it, and you can't really enjoy yourself as much as you otherwise would have. But if you could just get a gig, because like maybe you also don't want to move to New York,
right?
So
Exactly.
if you could just get a gig for a couple months there, then no stress, and you're just
So
living
convenient.
in New York for a little bit.
Yeah,
that'd be amazing.
That's the most Hollywood reason to carefree, feel good about anything ever.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, no, I don't want a vacation. I want to work. Please give me a job.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. So we're here to talk about, you said, the way, like, I don't know, current news and media and just the world we live in is changing the way you see video games. Right.
This is very interesting. I've been playing video games for a very long time. It's probably my biggest weakness is that, because I was grew up single parent home. Like the rest of my family was around, but I just lived with my mom.
Yeah.
And I lived in Inglewood, California, which is not in the 90s, which was not a great time.
Sure.
So I spent a lot of time inside watching television, movies, reading books, and like playing video games, a lot of it.
Yeah.
Definitely spent a lot of time playing video games. And I definitely have an addiction to it. So I still play them a little bit to this day, even though like I'm much more aware of like what it does to me, like chemically in my brain, you know?
Yeah.
But now these days, gun violence has just like been on my mind for, you know, years, as it has been for everyone. And I think they're so ridiculous. I really think that guns are just like an abomination. I don't think that human nature is smart enough to have something where you can basically flip a switch and then command someone else's termination.
Yeah.
You know, I just think it's so asinine.
It's like even if they were like completely safe, there's no chance of them accidentally going off. There's no chance you're accidentally going to shoot the wrong person. It's still you shouldn't have the opportunity to just decide that in a split second.
Right.
Because like you could do so much damage with a punch. You could kill someone with a punch if you hit them right, and it's like that's scary enough.
Yeah.
So then it's like here's something that'll guarantee a death, or maybe not a death. But
I think if you're angry enough about someone to fight them, you know what I mean? I'm not an advocate against violence. You know, if you want to get in a bar fight, get in a bar fight, punch them around. But, you know, the statistics of someone dying is like very low compared to if a gun immediately enters play.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I'm against them so much. Like any country that like outlaws them, like for example, like Japan, where there's just like no guns sold in like civilian life, they don't worry about gun violence.
No.
You know, Australia, it went way down. Everywhere else, it went way down where they banned them and stuff like that. So, especially growing up, like around so much gun culture, like and like gang culture in the 90s was just like, I've never walked down the street and wasn't suspicious of the cars, you know, driving by of like, you know, someone could have a gun in there and point it at me for no reason, literally no reason. I went to an elementary school where there was like a drive-by when I was in like 4th grade, and I wasn't quite near the place where it was happening, but I wasn't too far from it. And there were just like kids outside like waiting for their bus or something like that. And then like there was some kind of like gang initiation where like someone did like a drive-by, and only one kid got shot, but he definitely died.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, that's way too early to be introduced to the harshness of the world.
And for no reason. There was
for no reason.
Like, it wasn't even like, it was like a passionate thing where he was angry and he was like trying to get even with someone. It was like, oh, this is like this initiation. I'll just do
reasons, there's such a macrocosm of reasons that no one deserved to be in that kind of situation. And these days where it's becoming so much more common every day, we're seeing like new stories coming out, and it's just like every time we see one, there's so many times where I scroll down Facebook and I see another new video of police doing something, and it's just like so so disheartening.
Dude, I saw this morning, I woke up and I opened up my Facebook and I see a link that a friend shared. And it's a picture of a young black teenager, and the headline is all in caps, and I was like...
Is it the girl? She's like 12 years old?
No, this is actually not a bad thing.
Oh, okay.
But I like stopped. I was like holding my breath because I was like, again. And then it also disappointed me that I was like, I'm pretty desensitized to this, just how rapid fire it's been happening lately.
Yeah, exactly.
Like part of me was like, again, like that was the first thing I went to. And then I read it and it says, like it was like first or like incredibly rare perfect ACT score, and then like it was just like this and then you open it and it's this kid like did amazing, has like a 4.0 GPA and stuff, and I guess it's like, which it's not surprising that that's incredibly rare, but it was like,
just like a mugshot.
When I saw it I was like, oh and then it's like, oh cool, good news for once. It's like the one bit of good news every 3 months that we get. So
yeah, it's really disheartening. It's hard to even blame people who like guns, and this is the point of like my biggest fear is that like we still fetishize them so much. Yeah, like I can't even say that like when I close my eyes and like if I watch like an action movie that like I'm not like twitching when there's like, you know, Captain America's getting shot at or something like that, because I'm just like, it's an action movie, there's guns, there's guns, like cool.
Yeah.
Even. But it's just like, I think there was a point where there was another shooting a couple months ago, and then I was playing some game like Grand Theft Auto or something like that, and I was thinking to myself, and it like just hit me that like probably in the past 5 years, most of the video games that I've bought, like AAA things, are just like you play some kind of white dude and you're just in a town killing people, whether it's with guns or with knives or whatever. And I was just like, oh, how many games do I have that are just like a white guy murdering people?
Yeah.
and
it was like a
dozen.
country that you will never be like visiting. So
right.
It's
it
like
could be
so much more detached.
I mean, it could be Grand Theft Auto, which is based in LA, or it could be Assassin's Creed, or it could be any kind of fighting games. And at first I was just like, I'm being ridiculous, but then I literally counted, and I was just like, oh, this is like literally a dozen things. And it's not always a white guy or something like that, but it's always a man who has a bunch of guns and is killing people, whether they're mercenaries or whether they're just like computer NPCs on the street and stuff like that. And I would never think about things like that, because to me, video games are kind of a healthy way to get out a lot of like primal aggression and just like frustration in the world. And I'm not even completely against, because I'm not the kind of person who thinks that like video games cause gun violence or anything like that.
Sure.
But definitely the real world implications of gun violence are making me look at the media that I'm consuming and completely rethinking why I'm consuming it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we're...
At the very least, you're being desensitized.
Right. I'm definitely being desensitized. Because, I mean, like, a shooting happens, and then I don't even want to look at a gun, and then a week later, I'm watching a Transformers movie, and I'm just... I get through the whole thing, and I'm just like, oh, wait a minute, I don't like these.
Yeah.
It's a really weird feeling. It's a very American feeling. And I think there'll still be guns in our movies and stuff like that if we took them away. I think that's the biggest thing, is that I want them to be taken away, but they're so ingrained in the story of what it is to be American, you know? Ever since we signed the Constitution, you know, every white guy owned a gun. Yeah. You know?
And they're like, and everyone always brings up the like, oh yeah, right to bear arms, right to bear arms. And it's like, yeah, but that is so old, written by people that like had to protect themselves from bears and shit. Like, what do you? We don't fucking need guns anymore.
I used to
like, if you live in the woods near bears, you can own a gun. That's fine.
Yeah, absolutely,
like,
absolutely.
If you're in a major city, why do you need a fucking gun?
You don't at all. There's no reason. And it's because a lot of people have this argument of just like the the day after the police shooting happened. Actually, maybe the day after, I had to do a show in a cafe, and one of the hosts brought up gun violence, and actually one of the hosts brought up the new Finding Dory movie. Okay. And then there was this mom in the audience who was just like, oh, I just saw it, I loved it. And it was just like a heartwarming moment that everyone in the show had. And then he brought up guns, and the very same lady was just like, I don't think we should take away guns, because the bad guys are still going to get the guns.
Oh, my God.
And we were all just like silent. It's so weird, because I haven't heard of any of these situations where good guys are just like, oh, this is what I've been training for, and then save the day. That's never happened.
Never.
Just call the police. They're the only good guys who should have guns.
Right. Exactly. And then that's still arguable.
Yeah.
To a point.
Is still arguable. But I mean, like.
But that at least makes more sense. Like, they at least have training.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally. If we took away the guns from normal citizens, or at least just put restrictions on them, is really what it's about.
That's what it'll be like. People are like, you can't take my guns. And it's like, okay, we're not asking you to take them away. We're just saying you shouldn't be able to walk into a convention and walk out with 3
We're
guns.
just saying, why do you have 16 of them?
Yeah.
We have to take away at least 12 of your guns.
You certainly don't need more than 10. Like,
You're stockpiling for some reason.
Let's keep it in the single digits.
Yeah, dude, chill.
Yeah. I think I was saying that every single person in the world should have a gun. But we all get one bullet each. And
you keep
50% of the bullets don't work, so you don't know which bullet works.
Yeah. I like that. What's the cop from Mayberry or something? That old the Andy Griffith show? I think it was the Andy Griffith
I think
show.
it was Andy Griffith. Yeah.
And the deputy, I think, would have a gun, and he would have a bullet, but it was in his pocket.
Really?
Yeah, and it was only one bullet. So
it's a great idea.
if he ever had to use it, it's just like, well, got to pick something to shoot at, and I got to load it. And
That feels more like he's just waiting for his suicide, though. Like he's just like, I need to be prepared. You never know when I gotta go.
It's the Andy Griffith show, though.
Yeah.
they got a positive outlook.
Imagine if that's how that show ended.
That would
Final
be
episode.
real nuts. That'd be some. I think it just the same way that everyone has a financial advisor. If you like guns, you should have a gun advisor.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey Jim, I don't think you should be buying more guns. Listen,
Yeah,
got
like
too
a
many.
sponsor. Like
Yeah.
you call him up, like, dude, it's really cool.
I'm itching.
I need a new one, man.
Yeah, we need some kind of regulation.
Yeah. Because, like, I do, like, at a range,
Mm-hmm.
like, I've never been to, like, an actual gun range, but, like, as a kid, I guess as a kid I went to, like, a gun range, but it was, like, for, like, a camp type of thing.
Right.
And we're shooting .22 rifles, like,
Uh-huh.
which are such a low caliber.
Right.
Obviously could still kill a person,
Right.
but they're, like, these low caliber rifles, and it is fun. Like,
Right, yeah,
just, like,
totally.
shooting is a fun thing.
Yeah, you're like the superhero that you've always seen in the
Uh-huh.
TV shows.
Yeah,
you
just
know?
picking off some cans from
Yeah,
really
you
far
feel
away.
something explode in your hands. And
But
yeah.
then when I was done, I was like, I don't want to take this home with me.
Right,
I
yeah.
don't need this at home to protect my
My dad
family.
gave me a BB gun when I was a teenager, and we would just used to shoot, tin cans in his on his porch,
Yeah.
and I used to shoot at bugs in the ground, and it was super fun.
Yeah,
it was
it is
awesome.
fun.
You got to pump the gun, you got to load BBs in there.
I had a
Look at some
I
far
had a
away.
BB gun as a kid,
Oh.
and it looks 100% real.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to, like, be holding it to know that it's
Wow.
fake. And I never thought, like, my parents hated that I had it.
Right.
But, like, I bought it with my own money,
Right.
and they were like, just don't use it ever.
Right.
And then, like, one time I remember they were gone, and I went in our backyard and I was shooting it and stuff. And then, like, looking back on that, that's a terrible idea.
Right.
Like, any of my neighbors could have been like, is Charlie just holding a gun in his backyard, and called the cops on me?
Right, yeah, it's interesting. These days, I'm having the same kind of fears that I haven't had when I was a kid. I was just like, even at the comedy festival, where, like, I get a kind of PTSD, where I'm in a show and everyone's laughing and having, like, a really good time. And then I'm thinking, like, what if we all just heard gunshots in this bar right now?
Yeah.
And that's a weird feeling to have, like, as an adult,
Yeah.
you know?
Because that is how it happens. Like,
That's yeah, right.
It's just like, you're not part of the fight. You don't know that there's even an altercation.
Right.
Or that some crazy person just walked in the door. And then it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, the most chilling thing, because when you imagine these things, you kind of imagine them like a movie set, where
Mhm.
it's like things are, like, you're fully aware of the situation, things are quiet and stuff. And then the most chilling thing I ever read was talking about at the Orlando shooting.
Right.
The police afterwards, like, going in to, like, identify bodies and stuff,
Mhm.
and just listening to, like, 50 cell phones ringing,
yeah.
just hoping that their, like, loved one is going to pick up.
Yeah,
and
that's
I was
the
like,
worst.
I never ever considered that that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Like, you don't think that there's going to be people calling their cell phones.
I remember one of those people's one of the victims was, like, texting their mom at the time or something, and they
Oh,
were just
yeah.
like, "Mom, they're shooting in here. I think
Yeah.
I'm gonna die."
It's so
and that was like the
horrifying.
last. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
That's fuck.
Yeah, it's weird to walk into a building as an adult and be like, where would I hide if someone, like,
Where would I
shot
hide?
guns?
That's the thing we have to think about now.
Yeah, I think we should start tapering ourselves off. We should downgrade back to bow and arrows. We should bring bow and arrows
Pull it back, yeah.
Those are still deadly.
Learn a new skill. Because even, like, in the countries without guns, people are like, you could still kill people other ways. And it's like, yeah, but any, like, knife,
Mhm.
like, random, like, when somebody, like, goes nuts and just, like, tries to stab a bunch of people,
Yeah.
everyone sustains injuries. Maybe a person dies.
Yeah.
That's still upsetting, but it's nowhere near as dangerous as guns.
Yeah, imagine if your knife could just, like, stab, like 20 people a second, and
Right.
then from very far away.
Yeah,
I'm just like, yeah,
exactly.
that's definitely worse.
Yeah, like you just happen to have 50 knives on you, and you're
Mhm.
really good at throwing them. That's the, like, closest thing to an equivalent that we're
Yeah,
gonna
that's
get.
not a good argument when people use that.
Yeah.
That's like if you threw a piece of trash on the ground and you're like, hey, pick that up. And it's just like, why should I? There's a trash dump.
Yeah, exactly.
There's trash everywhere. I'm just like, yeah, but not right here.
No, yeah. And that's, I mean, who can blame you for letting that affect your enjoyment of video games?
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know. If anything, I'm self-critiquing myself for the things that I enjoy, because I definitely enjoy those things. I just enjoy them less now, and I'm like, maybe I would get more fulfillment from just different kinds of media. Maybe I should just be like reading smarter books, or you know, watching TV that isn't based on this kind of violence or stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm morphing into a pacifist or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe I just used to, like, since I use comedy to diffuse so many situations, that I feel like, why can't everyone learn these social skills, you know?
Yeah. I always wonder if, because like I've been the same way my whole life, like just use comedy to diffuse, and I wonder if that is detrimental. Like, do I laugh off too many, like, actual situations that I shouldn't be laughing off?
What do you mean?
Well, like, just like say somebody says something to offend me or someone I
like a confrontation.
and then like I will usually, I mean, I used to, I don't really do it anymore because I don't have the fucking energy, because who does? But
yeah,
I used to like laugh things off and like turn things into a joke and like try to get everybody happy again. Where it's like, maybe I should have just told that person to fuck off.
Right, right, yeah.
So I'm like, and was I developing slower as in terms of like, I don't know, just understanding the world around me? And
maybe in the last, because I've always been like that. I've always been the person who likes to make levity of a situation.
Yeah.
But in the last couple of years, I've made it an exercise to become less patient with people who not only annoy me, but who offend me, or just, I'm just not interested in expending my energy and communicating with them.
Yeah.
And the shorter I get with people like that, honestly, the more fulfilling it is. If you can immediately just tell someone to fuck off, like before it turns into a big thing, it feels good. It's just like, oh, I avoided all of that huge headache that I could have had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is going to come off braggy, and I want to make it clear that I don't, I'm not intending to brag, and I also am not this person. I'm more of a coward in most situations. But this one time at this party, like I was I don't know, fed up just with jackasses around me and stuff. And we were talking to this girl. It was me and my friend Odanaka, and he's black and she is white. And she said something about, oh, Rodney Dangerfield's blacker than you, ha ha ha. And I was like, normally in that situation, I probably would have just been like, okay, and then like avoided her the rest of the night.
Right, totally.
But this time I just looked her in the eyes like, what do you mean by that? I wasn't like being mean. I wasn't aggressive. I was just like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
And then she was like, oh, I was just, just joking. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I don't understand how it's funny though. And then in the moment I was like, what are you doing? You're going to ruin this party.
Right, yeah.
And then she kind of crumpled and walked away.
Yeah.
And then I lost sleep that night because I was like,
oh no.
I'm like, no, I lost sleep because I felt too good. I was like, that felt amazing.
Yeah.
I need to do this all the time.
It does feel really good to be in like a righteous confrontation once in a while, especially when you're a person who spends a lot of time thinking about things like this.
Yeah.
And like, for example, like if I'm at a show and someone heckles me, I have no problem confronting them because I know everyone else in that room is already on my side because this person is ruining their time. Yeah. And once you know that you're just like totally backed up in a social situation that like won't get super out of hand anyway, it's not like there's going to be like any kind of like physical confrontation.
Right.
But, people know who you are and they know that this person is probably an asshole. Yeah. There's just like a certain security in being like, hey, I'm going to teach you something right now. Hopefully you take this advice. And if you don't, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. The worst, though, is when you do get heckled in a room that you're already not doing so hot in.
Oh, that's
you're like,
the worst.
I don't know if anyone here supports me. I just have to be nice in this moment.
Yeah, that's when you eat a bag of dicks.
I get too heated when I do confront people. Because, like, I talk about this. Like, when I get mad, I get really dumb. I don't like it about myself. I get so dumb. So if I'm... Because, like, I'm a pretty clever person. I'm sharp. I can cut people down. But if it's, like, a face-to-face thing where you've pissed me off, I'm no longer clever. I'm a dumb... Like, I just can't... So then I start stumbling over my words. Like, if I'm on stage, like, trying to deal with a heckler. And then, like, I might lose everyone in the whole audience.
Sometimes when I'm overcome with an emotion, I try to lean into it a little bit. And then I just try to have people sympathize with the fact that I'm feeling emotional and it's for a legitimate reason.
Yes. Leaning in helps a lot because it's when you fight it, that's when you kind of lose control.
Right. If you can very quickly dissect why exactly you're mad, like if a person's mad, if a person is heckling you again, and if you're just like, I worked at this, you're interrupting this time for yourself when a lot of other people could be enjoying this, if you can just like really simply state it, and then your brain will kind of maybe take you in like a different direction that will maybe be a joke, but it's weird to have kind of faith in that, of like, especially when you're used to being clever, to just like be really in the moment and just like express how you feel without like hurting someone's feelings or something like that. Sometimes you just gotta not care about someone else's feelings.
And in doing that, if you do it calmly enough, you don't even have to like turn that into a joke at all. Mm-hmm. Like if you can shut somebody down without like blowing up and like turning into that asshole, then you can normally get back into jokes without even having to make that situation funny. You're
That's
just
why
like, hey,
helps.
could you not? And then you move on and people are like, thank you. Now we're still on your side.
If you can very quickly do it, like as soon as it comes up, and if you can like make the decision right there to just be like, let me set this right here while it's easy and while I don't seem over invested. That we can diffuse this before it's like bigger. Like yesterday I had a person in the audience who was just like a loud audience member, and they weren't exactly a heckler, but they were just like just trying to be funny against my jokes. And like I would say like, is anyone in here, you guys like music? And he's just like, no. You know what I mean? It's just like really stupid. He's just like a drunk guy. And I think I waited until like the fourth time he did something like that to shut it down. And I should have done it immediately, and then it would have been like a better crowd in general. Because they're distracted by him. So they're not going to be paying attention to you because they're like, what's this asshole going to say? That's when I'm in the audience and someone is heckling, I just like pray that the comedian immediately starts addressing it.
It's fucking difficult.
And if they brought a gun, I'd just be like, come on, man, put the gun away. First thing. So many shootings could have been prevented if someone's just like, hey, man, I see you're going to shoot this place. Don't.
Maybe put that gun away.
All right. Sorry.
Think about it. I have been like, I've been doing like a lot of like positive mental health exercises and stuff lately.
Good.
And something I've been working on, and it is probably the hardest of all the things I'm working on, is just acknowledging the fact that if someone makes you mad, they've given you the worst emotion. And then you've allowed a stranger, maybe a loved one, just somebody to control your emotions. And it's like, that's not okay. Like, I should have control of my own emotions. If they're being a dick, I should be able to be like, you can be a dick all day. And like critically think through that situation. But that's so fucking hard.
It is
like
fucking hard.
Something as simple as getting cut off. My blood pressure shouldn't raise because I got cut off. What is that?
Driving?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry.
That's
the
funny
worst
because
I cut you off to say cut off. I'm an idiot. But yeah, in driving, like I get real bad road rage. And my heart will start racing. I'm like, you feel like you're going to have a heart attack because they didn't even know that they did that.
And they're just going to drive away and they're not going to get any kind of punishment for it or repercussion. They're just going to not even know that they did it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you really have to decide what's worth getting pent up about. Especially like gaslighting is a thing that people are just now becoming like aware of. And I definitely have gotten in so many arguments with people where the fact that I was a little bit angrier than them like somehow made my argument invalid. And that's just the most frustrating thing. I mean, it's a very like high school tactic. But it's just like, I don't know anyone who doesn't have a righteous anger.
Well, I feel like gaslighting is probably becoming more of like a known thing because like any person of color has experienced it their whole life because like you can't be that angry black guy you just feel you have this weird guilt of like he shouldn't have said that, but if I confront him, everyone's gonna look at me like, dude, chill out, like it was just a joke. And it's like but it's like, no, well, he's being a racist. Like,
totally. Even a lot of black people have this kind of. A lot of people do see black people as either an angry black person or like a cool black person, and to me, they're both just like fucking social prisons that we're like forced into. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a very chill person naturally because I'm just like very laid back and stuff like that. But I know a lot of people who are just like, if society, it's better that society sees me as this kind of like nothing bothers me, it's no big deal kind of person than like legitimately access all of the whole breadth of my emotions. Because that'll have a negative impact for me, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. There's like, because I mean, I will definitely admit, growing up, you watch TV and like every popular black person on TV, at least in the 90s, like it's getting better very, very slowly. But
very slowly,
in the 90s, like every popular black person on TV was cool, like cool as fuck, or Urkel, you know.
Right.
But even he had like
Stefan.
Yeah, and like even when he was a nerd, he still like had this like aloof behavior that it was like pretty cool, you know.
Yeah, totally.
And it's like people complain about like, oh, like just complaining about diversity. It's like, as a white man, straight white man especially, I grew up seeing my point of view in every spectrum. I could be anything I wanted to. But like you grow up and you get to like, you're like, okay, angry or cool.
Right.
And then everyone, the worst part is everyone around you sees that and they're like, why aren't you angry or cool?
Yeah.
Like, why are you
representation
a human?
is a pretty huge thing for me right now, just in the industry. Because like, for example, I'm the kind of person who, you know, I'm starting to get more attention and like I want to be on TV and I want to like act and stuff like that. But there's so rarely a thing that I get. For example, if I go out for a commercial, it's either for cool, ethnically ambiguous person or quiet. There's cool or quiet because people do not know how to write other ethnicities at all. Yeah. And they're like afraid to.
When in reality, they could just write a script with no race attached to any character and then cast anything at random.
It would be that easy. Yeah, that's why a lot of people don't get cast. It's just like, well, this is going to be a flawed person. I can't make a flawed person a minority because then I look racist. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing. It's
what a fun time to try to get into the well, I mean, it's so like, it's one of these things where it's like, I don't know who said it, but that quote that it's like, the violence isn't real, the violence isn't new, the cameras are.
Right, yeah,
so
totally.
It's like, it's always been around. And it's similarly, like, getting into entertainment, it's like, it feels like it's the worst time because we're finally talking about it, but in reality, it's probably the best time that it's ever been for not straight white males.
Right, yeah, exactly. With the globalization of just, like, our world, basically, and, like, the access everyone has to putting more content online, we're starting to see, you know, people who feel kind of disenfranchised by the entertainment industry, like making more stuff and then also getting attention for it. And then like, you know, Hollywood agents just want money and stuff. So they're just like, why don't you do this thing for BuzzFeed and we'll put you in a contract where you can only do stuff for us for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at right now. We're like, these young people with voices are just kind of like, fuck, do I work for this corporate overlord or this one?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like, it's like the dream would be like, can I do like for comedy what Chance did for rap? But no, it's so difficult. I have no idea how he fucking did that.
Yeah, first we would have to make comedy much more popular. And
that's
then also
one.
Be the best one. And then be way younger.
So just happen to do those things and you'll be great.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, maybe I should put out a mixtape just for to make my comedy career better. you know? Donald Glover did it. You guys want to hire this guy? Listen, I'll be the next one.
Yeah, but then they're all going to look at you like, yeah, but you're not Donald Glover enough. Or you're too Donald Glover, you know, like.
They probably will, but that works for every rapper alive.
Yeah.
So why not?
Man. Shit. So what were we talking about? Oh, so video games. So I have been feeling like I didn't really realize it until I've spent the time thinking about it basically just today, like when you told me what your topic was. I'm realizing that I don't know if it's like getting older or what, like maybe like, cause nowadays I'm like getting more into reading and stuff. So I like more slow paced entertainment. Like I don't like to just like have my attention like dragged all over the place. So that might be it. Like maybe that's why I'm getting out of like shoot 'em up games. But like lately I have been playing like a lot of like more chill like just like Minecraft, like
cool,
just like there's no. I mean, I guess that you can kill animals and stuff in that,
Right.
but it's so like slow paced and chill.
Right.
And I'm like, shit, I haven't bought a Call of Duty game in
Right.
probably like 4 generations of that
I just
game.
I definitely feel like I've just already played those so much that like a new.
Yeah. Well, those ones are repetitive in themselves,
Mhm.
but I just mean like just shooters in general. Like
That's
I get
probably
tired
a
of
good
them.
thing. I have just certain urges, like maybe I'll get hyped for a game or something like that, but these days they're more expensive to make, so there's not as many like things that you get excited about that are just like coming out all the time.
Yeah.
But in general, I just kind of like sometimes I'll have an urge like to like I really want to play a racing game or something like that. What's the last good racing game that came out? And then I'll like download it or something like that. But in general, I really need to just like stop playing because they're very time consuming, and like when I was a kid I didn't have anything to do, so it was great. That was the best way to spend my time. And like now it's like, oh, I should be writing a bunch of jokes instead.
I get this thing, like I did it this morning.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't played video games in a while, and I've been wanting to play again.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, tomorrow daytime I'm going to clean a little bit, and then I'm going to play some video games.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it came time to play the video games, I felt guilty immediately before I even turned it on. And then I was like, I fucked around on my phone a little bit, and then I was like, you could just go play right now. And then I was like, no, I should really be doing something more like productive.
Right.
And then I just battled that for a while, which resulted in me sitting on my phone for 2 hours.
Right, yeah.
I should have just fucking played the video games. That would have been...
It's a process.
Yeah, that would have been productive, but it was... At least I would have enjoyed it more than sitting around looking at Facebook hoping that somebody would post something new.
Yeah, right. I mean, well, that step from sitting around on your phone is a step removed for me from sitting around with my notebook, so that's probably at least a little better.
That's way better.
Yeah. I mean, like...
That's a... 100%. What do you mean a little better?
Well, like when I play video games, so it got so bad where like if I got like a new game and it like had like a campaign in it where you can just be playing for like 60 hours straight. Yeah. That's what I would do. Yeah. I would wake up in the morning, I'd put it in, I'd have maybe 2 meals that day, I'd play until I passed out some like late at night. Yeah. And then I'd wake up with like the game like still on because I had never turned it off. I had just passed out. And I was just like, well, I got nothing else to do today, and then I just like kept playing it. Yeah. And like now it's just like, especially when you're starting to get momentum in comedy and you're just like, I have responsibilities. I really do need to be writing new material, and I have these and these shows coming up. And it's just like, I wish my real dream is to just be a very creative person who is productive. Yeah. If I could literally wake up and like work on my art all day and then perform and then go home and then start all over again, that would be like a very ideal situation. Right. So like I'm really trying to wean video games out of my life, which I have done a little bit successfully, and I just reserve myself to binging every once in a while. Sure. And I feel like that is kind of a healthy way, especially when I'm not working regularly. But yeah, it's really what I like to do as an adult is that if it's on the weekend, I don't give myself shit about it. Okay. If it's on a Saturday or a Sunday and I just want to waste my time, go for it. Yeah. If it's a Monday through a Friday, okay, that's when I feel bad. That's when I should do something else. Sure. I don't allow myself guilt on those days.
See, now I have the problem in that I still am in need of a day job. Uh-huh. And I don't know what your exact situation is, but I was a dog walker, but it still takes up like a lot of the time in the day. And then when I get home from work, I would be pretty beat. Right. Like it takes out more of you than you really expect. Walking dogs, even though it is a silly, fun job. Right. But then, so the weekends were pretty much reserved for getting shit done, like cleaning my apartment at least, but preferably writing or working on something. Mm-hmm. And it got to a point where like I was like, I don't have any time for any recreation. Right. Because like when I come home from work, like I will feel guilty to a point where I'm like, I shouldn't be watching Netflix, you know? And then when I do turn it on, I'm like so like zonked that I'm like, I can't even focus on this show. Right, same. And then the weekend was, I don't know. I just like, I'm in this weird limbo where like most of, I'm trying to figure out what to do with my time. So a lot of it is just results in me feeling so guilty that I don't do anything. And I have to figure out a way to beat that. Yeah. I'm hoping the move to New York lights a fire under my ass.
Right. I feel like it probably will. It's just such that kind of activated city where you just got to get in a groove. Yeah. I think the trick is to just like find art that you are getting entertainment from it at the same time.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, comedy feels like that most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the time, most of the time.
Yeah, and the thing is, with that, you have to acknowledge that if you do find that art that is going to like feel like fun the whole time, it's going to feel like work sometimes, and in those moments you have to force yourself to just push through that bullshit, because then it'll get fun again.
It's usually rewarding.
Yeah,
it's usually much more rewarding than the 2 hours you watched a movie or whatever. Yeah, my intake
similar to confronting someone saying something like offensive. It's like, just push through and do it, and you're gonna feel way better afterwards.
You're gonna feel way better after. Yeah, it's just like, why sit in the situation of uncomfort, even if it's as simple as like, if you're sitting in a room and you're trying to write something and someone's being loud, or it's just like, am I going to suffer this for an hour, or am I just going to say something and then I'll have so much more just like brain energy that that wasn't spent being mad. And, you know, because it's like everything that happens in your brain is like a chemical reaction. So like when someone cuts you off and then you're in traffic and you're just like angry at them, and then you like get to where you're going and you have like a huge headache, and it's just like, oh, I gave my fucking self that headache because I was just angry at this person and I couldn't do anything about it.
Right.
Or I could just choose to move on mentally and then think about something more productive. And
it feels so silly to say, because like, I don't know, people say simple shit like that all the time. Like if you're depressed, people are like, just, you know, stop.
Right.
Like,
that's
just change your
hard.
worldview. And it's like, what are you fucking talking about?
Being depressed is hard.
Yeah. But that's a chemical imbalance that you have no control over.
Yeah, totally.
Whereas like, so it sounds similarly stupid, like, just don't get angry, but it's like, no, you can just not get angry.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
It takes a lot of like personal reflection to figure out how to not get angry. But
comedy has been very cathartic, because anytime some kind of injustice happens to me and I can't do anything about it, it's like, I could at least write a joke about it.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I can do.
Can't. I get too like just bummed out. Like,
really?
I don't know. It's like I get paralyzed. It always comes off angry. You know, I can't make it funny.
Right. I know that feeling. But then there's that's the challenge, just like making it funny. It's just like, I wonder if I can make this funny. That's
you're right.
Usually
the thing is, I probably can make it funny.
Yeah.
I'm just giving up too quickly because I feel bummed out.
It's right. It's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
You just want people to immediately sympathize with you.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just like, guys, I'll write a funny joke later, but feel bad for me now.
God, that's the fucking worst. You say something like, because like in your head you've been through it, and it's it becomes like a cosmic joke type of thing where you're just like, you're laughing at like the absurdity of it all, and then to everyone hearing the story for the first time, they're just still horrified.
Yeah.
That you're like, that you like had to experience this thing, and you're like, oh, yeah, I guess you haven't been thinking about this for 3 weeks straight.
Yeah. I have to find communication is actually a skill where I have to decipher what happened and then also make it relatable to other human beings who go through the same space as me.
Yeah, exactly. That's like, I did a storytelling show recently, and I told this story that I am super not proud, because the whole point of the show is like, you tell like embarrassing secret that like.
Was that the secret show?
No, that's a great show too. But this is called We Still Like You.
Oh, okay, yeah, I did. We Still Like You too.
Okay, cool.
Well, actually, you know what? I'm really bad at stories. I actually dropped out of We Still Like You. I was supposed to do it a week ago. That's Andy Sell's show, right?
That's no, that's Comedy Secrets.
Oh, okay.
Or wait, Andy Sell.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking Andy Fleming. God, I'm getting so confused.
It's okay. Yeah,
We
that's
like
Andy Sell.
Andy Sell. Yeah. So like they started here, and then they like were like, Andy, you should do one. I don't actually know I don't know. I'm telling the origins of the LA version.
Yeah. And but yeah, I literally dropped out of that show a couple days before. I messaged Andy, who I've been friends with for a long time. Yeah. And I was just like, because the premise of the show is that you're supposed to tell a story about something bad that happened to you, or something bad that you did, right? And then like,
something
the
that you're
audience
kind of ashamed
forgives you,
of.
right? I messaged him, and this is kind of dorky, but I was just like, hey, I haven't really done anything that bad. I'm like a good boy. Like, I don't have anything interesting. I feel like I'm going to bomb. I don't think I can do it. And it's just like, I totally understand.
That's the same exact boat I was in.
Really? What'd you do?
Except for, so I'm either like a good boy like you, or I am an open book and I've told everybody, and nobody's like, I'm not really like ashamed of it, you know?
Right.
But there's this one story, and I'm not super willing to talk about it on the podcast, but
no problem.
I told it, and then I think it was dead silence for 5 to 6 minutes. And then I started feeling worse.
Oh, no.
But then I kept reminding myself, I was like, this story isn't funny, and that's okay. That's part of the show. Because I just couldn't make this
That's
story
another
funny.
reason I don't like storytelling.
It
Too much silence.
Feels like physical pain.
Yeah,
just being up
feels.
there and no one's laughing, even though you know that it makes sense for them not to. Like when I'm just doing housework hosting, like I'll just be like, talk about like the bar, and I'm like, they shouldn't be laughing at this, of course, but I want laughter after every sentence that I say.
Totally.
So then at the very end, like 6 minutes in, like the very end of my story, just the final bit was like this huge laugh that like felt like it was gonna knock me over, and that felt amazing. But I was like, it could have easily just not gotten anything.
Oof.
And I would have had to accept that because I didn't write a funny. I don't know.
Right.
I didn't write a joke at the end. I just the way I said something.
That's very good.
I think what it was is they were all tense because like the story was just like such a bummer.
Right. Yeah.
And then I just like relieved them of that.
Yeah, telling a story really is just like telling a long joke where you have to like force the audience to get in this place of like emotional discomfort for you almost, and then just like relieve it all at once.
Yeah.
And that's my least favorite part, is
Yeah.
relieving that discomfort.
And that's like, I mean, because as stand-ups, we're just like keeping everybody's attention. Like it's like, I'm going to make you laugh over and over, so you don't have to pay attention all that long. You just have to keep resetting your attention span after each laugh.
Yeah, totally.
But then with the storytelling shows, you also have to rely on the audience to listen to every fucking word you're going to say.
Right.
And a lot of times you don't have like the punchlines every 45
you don't.
seconds.
And it feels painful. It feels like every time I tell something and people don't laugh, I was just like, man, if I had a couple more minutes just looking at it, just mulling it over. Yeah, storytelling is just not my jam. I feel like I'll get into it eventually when I'm in my 30s or something, but like at the moment I'm just like, I just want to work on my set. I don't even want to do an essay or a character.
No.
I just want to work on my set. Maybe I'll do a character.
Everything else feels like homework.
Right, everything does feel like homework. Yeah.
I'm just trying to tell jokes. Like just let me do that. That's one of the reasons why I chose New York, is I felt like because I have no other aspirations aside from stand-up.
Okay, right. Yeah,
like
New
I don't.
York's a good
Yeah,
choice.
like I'm not like a writer and stuff. Like I mean, I'm a writer for my stand-up, but like I'm not like a writer for like scripts and shit like that. And you know, the hundreds of other ways you can turn comedy into a career.
LA is a good place to do everything else.
Yeah, and
Stand-up
I was
is for New
like,
York.
I'm gonna go to New York just because I need to. I don't know.
Chops.
It's like Chicago is like an amazing gym. You know, it's a great place to work out and get funny really fast, and because it just beats the shit out of you until you're funny.
Cool.
And then I was like, I just want to move to another difficult stand-up place.
Right.
So
Good. That's a good attitude to
New York
have,
is.
to challenge yourself.
Yeah, and I need a challenge because I get complacent real easy.
Yeah, me too. I'm a comfy little baby boy. I should move out of LA, if anything.
Yeah.
That's why I hope I get that
comfy
job. I would love to grind in New York for 2 months and then come back.
And then maybe you might not come back. You never know.
Nah, for sure
Well,
come back.
you probably will. And
I'm
then
too
also
chill.
you also shouldn't go in with that mindset of like, maybe this is like my new life, because then that's going to fuck everything up.
Yeah.
Better just experience it for what it is and make a decision later.
Yeah, and just work hard. It's all very difficult.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Do you feel like we've hashed...
I feel like we did good.
Yeah. I think we see, that's the thing is like every tangent that I experience on the show is usually pretty related, like, because it's just like every small problem that we have, this feels like I'm doing like at the end of a sitcom like in the 90s where it's like, now we learned our lesson. Like, I've never done this on the podcast before.
We solved every problem.
Yeah. And that's another thing is most of the problems don't get solved on this podcast. I
right,
just try to
totally.
figure out where
We're
they
just
came from.
talking. It's just people commiserating, and then
we're never going to solve, you and me at least, on a podcast, we're never going to solve gun violence. So.
Nope. But hey, if you like this, subscribe on iTunes.
And let's plug some shit.
Sure.
So you, what's the name of your podcast?
My podcast is called Colored Commentary. It's on the Sexpot Network.
Oh, dope. That's a great network.
Where I'm really weird about how we release things, but we usually release things once a week in seasons. And it's a podcast about diversity in the entertainment industry. And that's cool.
Hell yeah, dude.
And
then
then,
like Twitter and stuff?
My Twitter is @AyoBrobro, AYOBRO.
I feel like I follow you on Twitter, but I don't recognize that Twitter handle at all.
Oh, you would recognize it, baby. That'll probably be my rap name if I ever release a mixtape.
Be the new Chance.
Yeah, that's the place to find me on. And then, you can Google me if you felt like it.
Hell yeah. And as always, you can find me at Charlie Roar on Twitter and hearmeroar.tumblr.com for show dates and stuff. As always, Roar is spelled ROHRER in both
That's
of
so
those.
Cute.
Yeah, I feel like Ian Abramson came up with that. He says that one day he just goes like, I am Charlie, hear me roar. And I was like, oh my God, I'm stealing that forever.
Yeah, I bet. That's
and then
great.
I feel weird because I feel like I'm stealing it from women empowerment propaganda. You know what I mean?
Someone gave me a pun on my name recently. My name is Brodie Reed, so the pun was brownie weed.
Brownie weed.
And I'm like, okay, I guess I have to legally change my name now. That sounds dope.
That is perfect. Literally, it sounds dope.
It does sound dope. Yeah.
All right, well, dude.
Cool.
Thanks for doing.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Cool.